Most kids nowadays want to be gamers and YouTubers.
Astaghfirullah.
But here you have, I'd say probably the most prominent YouTubers in Britain asking some very deep questions.
Yeah, God.
What if this is a simulation?
What if we're a bug in their system? We're not supposed to exist.
But also, we don't know what makes life.
These questions are to do with purpose, the universe, if there is more life out there.
We can't be the only things. It's impossible. It has to be impossible.
It's impossible.
Well, no, it's not impossible.
Which begs the question, if becoming a gamer or entertainer was the end goal, then why would these guys be asking such questions?
Good Lord.
Because no matter what area of life you're in, the question of why, of purpose, of intentionality will override anything and everything else. Why? And it will always niggle at you, and it will always be at the back of your mind and will affect. Taslima Nasreen, a Bangladeshi ex-Muslim who now squats in India, has recently posted an attention-seeking tweet in which she, let's face it, she barked like a female dog, saying the following: if MOEEN Ali were not stuck with cricket, he would have gone to Syria to join ISIS. But MOEEN's fellow teammates, they just couldn't contain their silence, yeah? And she went out there without a cup, and mate, she paid the price. Here's what Jofra Archer said, yeah? He goes, "Are you okay? I don't think you're okay." Another guy goes, "Can't believe it. Disgusting tweet. Disgusting individual." This was Ben Duckett. He goes, "This is the problem with this app. People being able to say stuff like this, disgusting. Things need to change. Please report this account." I know what you're thinking. What about the Indian cricket team? Let's take the age of consent. This is when a child is considered mature enough to agree to sexual intercourse without the person being considered a predator or it being considered illegal. And yeah, France doesn't have one. In fact, France has actively worked against it. Which means people could and have been grooming children, taking advantage of it. All of this being approved and sanctioned by law.
For sure.
I know what you guys are thinking. Eiffel Tower. No. Eiffel sick.
Yes!
And it's only been 2 weeks that France has finally decided to do something about it. Nothing's been done yet. They've started the process. As talks are being done, this is happening in France. And on the other hand, they have an allergic reaction whenever any girl wants to cover up her hair. Yes, that's right. They have now made it illegal for anyone under the age of 18 to wear a hijab. A sick country. Why is it called freedom of speech whenever Muslims are offended? Someone posted an offensive tweet against Captain Tom. You know, the old COVID hero who raised all that money. And this person has been charged and can face 6 months in prison. BBC presenters had to apologise last week when presenters called a guest's British flag small and laughed at him for having a picture of the Queen. Teachers have apologised for offending Jewish people. And of course, Christian people as well. And not to mention the Hindu community that got offended when a cartoon depicted Priti Patel as a cow. And not to mention recently, the same makers of the cartoons offended the British patriots by depicting the Queen as a racist cop killer. Why the disparity? And not to forget the pronoun people who get offended morning, evening and night just because. Number 2, appreciation. We value cold because of heat, day because of night, and holidays because of school and work. The saying absence makes the heart grow fonder is quite apt in showing how we can become unappreciative and bored when we have something all of the time. Number 3, teaching us. We have the pixel, Allah has the picture. Many a time we see a problem as the only thing that exists, and we fail to realize it is a mere puzzle piece in a grand picture, a thread in a tapestry, a tile in a glorious mosaic, a scene in a play. You get the point. In other words, as we progress in life, we soon realize that it was our difficult moments that were our greatest teachers. Number 4, closer to Allah. When you're going through problems, notice how your prayers become more.
The music thing for me, I love music, innit? But I'm a Muslim, bro, so I know this ain't something I can keep doing forever, bro. This is haram.
I really like this book. It's one of the few books that make me feel fortunate as a, sounds a bit cringe almost to say, but fortunate as a human to be able to experience.
KSI, he talks about how he regrets his previous videos.
The one thing that I'm most sure of in this world, yeah, on my life, that I'm most sure of on this world is that you can't be happy without God.
I strive to be one.
That's right,
but again, like, that's not enough. You know what I mean? I need to do more. We all need to do more.
Not claim to be the biggest G the world's ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, all of these little things that some people might do, I don't do that because it's just, I've gone past that stage. That stuff is very childish to me.
Because even if you have all war, you're gonna die. Everything is gonna be finished.
People forget! You said that you'd never if you have a son, you'd never let him rap.
So I want him to be better than me.
The Australian Post has issued special stamps to honour essential workers. And if you look closely at one of them, you'll see a hijabi Muslim right at the front. Not somewhere at the back, not showing her arms and contradicting her modest attire, not showing off a little bit of her hair just for fashion, unapologetically in full hijab mode, and might I add, completely bossing it. The frontline heroes commemorative stamps celebrate teachers, healthcare workers, Australian Defence Force members, police, supermarket staff and food delivery workers. So for them to honour the work of Muslims, especially in a period of Islamophobia, is duly appreciated and honoured. And a big shout out to the many Muslims, the unsung heroes who have helped out a great deal despite not being appreciated and acknowledged. There are 2 reasons why Muslims don't have to change their beliefs to fit Darwinian evolution. Number 1, science does not lead to certainty. And number 2, Darwin's theory of evolution is not indisputable. So Darwinian evolution can be accepted by Muslims as a valid theory, but not something absolutely true. The first thing we need to do is make a distinction between basic evolution and Darwin's theory of evolution. Basic evolution is biological change over time. Darwinian evolution is composed of 2 parts. Number 1, the tree of life, and number 2, natural selection. The basic type of evolution, it happens all around us. Take butterflies or bacteria evolving resistance to medicine. No one disagrees with this type of biological evolution. This was well known before Darwin. Yes, before Darwin. It's the second type which is problematic. But here, finally, you get a female Muslim leader, rather than bringing her on board and saying, you know what, you're doing a good job, well done mate, all that sort of stuff. They say, hang on a minute.
How many female imams are there?
What? And then she gives one of those answers because, let's face it, that's not why she's there.
I mean, I think, again, I wouldn't have a clue on these numbers because my role is making sure that we include our affiliates, particularly women, in the work that we are doing.
And she goes, yeah, but you're not really answering my question.
But do we have female imams in this country?
And then again, she politely declines.
Exactly. I don't feel like that's within the parameters of my roles and responsibilities.
Yeah, but how many female imams are there?
Do we have female imams?
Like flipping heck, mate, like calm down.
It's quite striking that you can't sort of answer.
This very woman that's interviewing her, when she was asked about female rabbis, she wasn't having none of it.
शायद मैंने भी बहुत सारी गुस्ताखियाँ की हैं अपनी फिल्मों में और मुझे बड़ा शर्म है इस बात का नहीं सचमुच में क्योंकि हम उस वक्त हम समझते नहीं कि हम जो दिखा रहे हैं या जो हम सीन कर रहे हैं उसका क्या असर होगा और इस बात का एहसास मुझे आज है अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये मैसेज लोगों में उल्टा जा रहा है उनको लगता है हमारी फिल्मों की वजह से कि लड़कियों को ये ही पसंद है बदतमीजी पसंद है अच्छा आप लोगों को क्या लगता है हमारी जो फिल्में हैं हिंदी फिल्में जो हम बनाते हैं उसमें बहुत सारी गड़बड़ चीजें भी हम दिखाते हैं, क्या लगता है आपको? हाँ, कितने लोगों को लगता है हम लोगों को ये सब चीजें, ऐसी चीजें नहीं दिखानी चाहिए? मुझे लगता है कि वक्त आ गया है कि फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में हम सभी क्रिएटिव लोगों को थोड़ा रुक कर, थोड़ा थम कर ये सोचना चाहिए कि हम अपनी फिल्मों के जरिए क्या सीख दे रहे हैं अपने बच्चों को, अपने ऑडियंस को.
Our brains are in an alpha wave state when we watch TV, which means it is more prone to suggestion. So MESUT OZIL is a famous Muslim football player.
Also ich bin Moslem, lese erstmal die Versen aus dem Koran und natürlich nach diesen Versen wünsche ich natürlich meinen Teammates.
The timing of his pass is exceptional.
And he's moved to Turkish club Fenerbahce and is sure to remind himself and others that whatever happens is Allah's will.
Çok mutluyum geldiğim için. Gerçekten bir Fenerbahçeli olarak her zaman hayalimdi. O hayal benim için gerçek oldu bugün. Çok uğraştık. Allah nasip etti. Artık buradayım. İnşallah başarılı bir sezon geçiririz.
In his first game, he was seen making dua, which is the process of asking and thanking Allah. But one thing we have learnt is money, fame and respect can never substitute the peace you get from obeying and recognizing Allah. Just a day or two ago, Rihanna posted on her Twitter something in solidarity of the farmers in India.
Brace yourself.
And rather than people appreciating the fact that she even gives a damn about the issue, they have now been spamming her, bullying her, just full on troll mode on her. To the people of India, they just couldn't fathom why somebody would speak against their country, because it's just become like a gang mentality.
How dare somebody speak against our gang? We must go full on attack mode.
And it's this sort of mentality that the Muslims have been complaining about. But you know what the Indians did? Because they couldn't fathom the fact that she's spoken against them, they went on Google and they Googled her religion, assuming that she was a Muslim. Why? Because she's criticized a policy of the government? A 4-year-old Muslim boy was referred to the government's anti-extremism program after he made a few comments about a video game at an after-school club.
EA Sports.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
This is becoming more and more ridiculous, frankly, yeah? More ridiculous than the Labour Party hiring an ex-Israeli spy.
Why?
Yes, more ridiculous than the head of the BBC being a long-term donor to the Conservative Party.
Why?
And yes, more ridiculous than ice cream getting the coronavirus. Alright, maybe not the last one, yeah?
LOL.
I really want to make this clear, yeah? So you got this kid who's decided to stay at school after school has ended just so he can play video games. I mean, just let that sink in for a while, yeah? Obligating little girls to wear skirts, and if they don't, taking them to court. No, we're not living in United Pedo Land. This is actually taking place here in the United Kingdom. Where are the Tommy Robinsons?
I've changed what I'm saying.
Where are the people who stand up for the rights of the students, of the people? Nowhere to be heard, frankly. This is what happens when you give perverts too much power.
That must be what.
In an era where genders are more fluid than my post-biryani toilet, it seems that Muslim girls are still being pushed to expose themselves to get a decent education. Where are these feminists that we speak of? Where are these
alphabet people? You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves.
Why are they not speaking up against this?
I don't know.
Alright guys, so here you got Habib and Ronaldo FaceTiming each other casually, yeah? Ronaldo's chilling with his son and Habib with his friends. It seems like this sort of stuff happens quite often because neither Habib or Ronaldo put it on their feed or on their story. Yeah, sometimes people have this niggling feeling in their head that if they practice their religion in public, that people won't accept them, yeah, or they won't like them. I mean, you got Habib, who's an unapologetic Orthodox Muslim, yeah, he doesn't shake hands with women, he fasts, he prays, and he's an embodiment of this advice of fix your relationship with Allah and Allah will fix your relationship with the people. Despite Habib doing all this, he still has the adoration of the likes of megastars like Ronaldo.
Khabib is the best fighter on the planet ever.
So does the problem lie in following religion, or does the problem lie in us and the skills that we have? Because sometimes we just... In this Instagram post, I was actually very pleasantly surprised at his bravery, his honesty, because he is seen as a devout Christian. He mentions that he's been going to the Middle East for many years and it's actually shaken his faith. I wouldn't necessarily package it as doubting your faith, Tyrese, or other people like Tyrese that are watching. It is actually something called the fitrah, which is the innate disposition. It's like the default settings. What's the default position? The default position is believing in the one true God. As soon as you open up the Bible and you read Genesis, God getting tired, God wrestling with another prophet, then God allowing his own son and sacrificing his son for a sin, yeah, or for a consequence that he is not responsible for. And let's be frank, this does not sit well with anybody. And how do people reconcile this with their daily acts of worship?
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
I mean, the Sun newspaper praised him so much, calling him a good man, techie, and mentioning that he's got family problems to such a degree that I honestly thought these guys were writing his resume or some sort of CV of some sort. The Daily Mail, on the other hand, blamed everything under the sun other than the individual. I mean, they blamed his father's dementia, they blamed conspiracy theories and 5G, and not forgetting CNN, who blamed his car for exploding other than the individual that was driving the car. I mean, this is nothing new, yeah? Newspapers in the past have used adjectives like baby-faced and angelic. But bear in mind, these are only for white terrorists, yeah? Don't get it twisted. But when it comes to Muslims, yeah, even the babies are qualified to be jihadists. And
the most human trait is to want to know why. And in a year that tested everyone around the world, why was searched more than ever.
It's these individuals that are trying to tell us that we shouldn't be asking that question.
Don't look for a purpose, because if you look for a purpose, you're seeking madness. If you find one, you are sure mad.
What I would say about the question why is, why do you think you have any right to ask it? It's not a meaningful question, except unless you specify the kind of answer you're expecting.
Science has limitations, and the limitations are that it cannot deal with certain questions. Metaphysical questions by necessity, okay, mathematical questions, moral questions, because such moral...
But I found this clip of the quote-unquote Caliph, the new Caliph, and he was reciting Surah Fatiha, and I thought, let's react to this together. I have to say in Bismillah, there's two types of ha's, yeah? The flat one, that's ha, and you have the one that comes from your chest, ha. Yes, Bismillah, here, flat. Rahmanir Rahim. I'm gonna have to stop you there. Alhamdulillah, that's a ha, yeah, not a ha. And it sounded like the Allah there, Alhamdulillah, you made mouthful. Allah, if preceded with a fatha or a dhamma, then it's mouthful. With a kasra. Hazrat Google has passed a fatwa declaring Mirza Masroor as the 5th Caliph of Islam. Now, mainstream Muslims consider this laughable because the Ahmadiyya, also known as the Qadiani sect, aren't regarded as Muslims. Now here's why. So the founder of this sect is somebody called Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. So in his book he rejects that revelation has stopped with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yeah, and he goes on to say that whoever believes such is from the religion of Shaitan and will be led to the hellfire. And he goes on to write, in a dream I saw that I am the Lord, and I firmly believed that it was so. Wow. And in another place he wrote, in a vision I saw that I am God. The issue of grooming gangs is a very serious issue. But for the last decade, the far right has hijacked this issue and turned it into a Muslim problem.
This is the truth. We want justice for the victims of Muslim grooming gangs.
So the UK-based independent newspaper sought to get a report from the Home Office, and number 3, previous data isn't exactly accurate because of the mass bias it has, and that majority of the offenders were white.
By Pakistani Muslims.
And number 2, the exposition of war crimes by Western nations such as Australia and the United Kingdom. Now it's time that we get this condemnations from you people. The far right, the conservatives, whatever label you want to give it. You got a problem with Islam. Now we want you to condemn grooming gangs. We want you to condemn the war crimes that have taken place.
A gunman who opened fire during an outdoor choir performance Sunday on the steps of New York City's Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine. The suspect was himself shot and wounded by police. The shooter had fired on police, but no officers or bystanders were believed to have been injured.
If we look at all of the news coverage on the matter, not mentioning the fact that I checked my news apps and I couldn't find the story anywhere. It was only when a brother messaged me and I searched it up, then I was like, damn, this is actually a thing. And after I was looking at all the news coverage, gunman, flipping gunman. No mention of terrorist, extremist or Christian. So this guy turns up with a full can of gasoline, a bunch of knives and guns in both hands. Either he is a very well equipped terrorist or he's going for an audition of the Joker.
Nothing in his pockets but knives and lint. Look what I did to this city with a few drums of gas and a couple of bullets.
So the World Health Organization alongside 185 other countries have allowed the burial of COVID victims. But that does not seem to be enough for Sri Lanka because their medical experts are still researching to see if burying the victims is okay. It seems that they have some sort of special technology that they may have acquired from either Hogwarts.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Or Wakanda.
What do you actually know about Wakanda?
That no other country may be privy to. Now because of this, they are forcibly burning the dead. Be it adults, be it infants, or be it little babies. Now Sri Lanka is a majority Buddhist country, yeah, so Buddhist and Hindus are okay with this sort of stuff, but Christians, Muslims and Jews are not. Now due to COVID, it's bad enough that you can't see your family or friends. So Barcelona player, and let's face it, quite frankly one of football's most expensive players ever, Antoine Griezmann, has cut ties with sponsor Huawei, citing its contribution to the mass persecution of Uyghur Muslims in China. His announcement on Instagram came soon after a research company published a paper, yeah? The company was IPVM and they claimed that Huawei or Huawei flipping whatever, yeah, potato, they were surveilling the Uyghur Muslims and giving information and data back to the Chinese government so they could track them. Now that's a very ballsy move, yeah? You like what I did there, yeah?
You're not funny. You suck.
In fact, a lot of Muslim countries can take a leaf out of Griezmann's book or Facebook or Instagram post or whatever. And let's not...
Who sent you here? Where do you think you came from? You think you were born? No. You were built. And your creators want you back. We all work for someone. There are mysteries to the universe we were never meant to solve. But who we are and why we are here are not among them. Those answers we carry inside.
That's pretty profound for a Hollywood movie, to be honest. And I thought, why not bring the big dog? Why not bring the heavyweight? Why not bring the main guy of Speaker's Corner? It's one of the elementary discussions, isn't it? That we look at ourselves.
If somebody was sad, yeah, because unfortunately when we grow up, some people get sad, and that's bad, and sometimes they have to call a cab, and they become a bit mad. So, what would you say to comfort them? Yeah? You see a sad person there, what would you say, young man? What would you say to them if they're sad to make them happy? Don't say like, clap along if you feel like a house without a roof. It's because I'm happy, clap along if you feel like a house without electricity and gas. Clap along if you feel like you're living in poverty, because now there's none of the house left, frankly. All of it's gone. You know what I'm saying? So, sorry, where were we? I just went on a tangent. Bro, oh, sorry. Can you just stay on your side? You're cheating! He's a cheater! You cheater, cheater, cheater! Rahul is a cheater.
And it is, of course, of our sister
Halima Adan, and I'm a black, Muslim, Somali American from Kenya, and the first hijab wearing woman in many places, like the Miss Minnesota USA beauty pageant, the runways of Milan and New York fashion weeks, and even on the historic cover of British Vogue.
She has modeled for the likes of Nike, Vogue, Kanye West, Rihanna.
And in my first year, I graced the covers of 9 fashion magazines.
And all of this she has given up for the sake of our Lord.
MashaAllah, brother!
She's given up the fashion industry. It preys on the insecurities and self-esteem of the masses by exploiting and objectifying its own. And these aren't just my words. Yeah, in fact, Giorgio Armani uses even stronger words than this. And it does this with immodesty and unrealistic standards of beauty. It festers narcissism, desperation, and eventually it was 2017 in a mosque in Quebec, Canada, where a terrorist gunned down 6 Muslims and he paralyzed and injured 5 others in the process.
You heard from Ayman Dirbali in our story a moment ago. He was shot 7 times during the attack. He's paralyzed now from the chest down.
Cretins like this are normally locked up, yeah? And for the general public, this is not something that needs to be followed up, because most often eventually justice gets served. But it seems that now even that's changing as well. So this animal had his sentence reduced because the judge called it cruel and inhumane.
What?
Hang on just a minute. Isn't killing and paralyzing people in a sanctuary of worship and peace inhumane and cruel? Not the actual punishing bit. But yes, when the terrorist happens to be white, then we...
A long-awaited report says there is credible evidence that Australian elite soldiers unlawfully killed 39 people during the Afghan war.
Movie culture, yeah? Everyone's familiar with movie culture. The movie Taken, yeah? In which his daughter got kidnapped and he spent the rest of his life tracking down the gang, and when he did, pow, pow, pow, he shot them all dead. You had Law-Abiding Citizen, in which his family got killed in front of him, and then the law didn't do him justice, frankly. So the guy took the law into his own hands. And let's not forget John Wick, yeah? In which his dog dies and the guy goes out and kills 77 people in revenge. But it seems in the Middle East, loads of John Wicks and Punishers have been created. But in the Middle East, they're not allowed to be angry and do terrible things because of emotional anger, frustration and trauma. They expect